We're going to develop it into an industrial park.
Okay.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah.
So like one big building, several companies renting, or several buildings?
Several buildings. Yeah.
And do you have any, I know it's probably ways out, but do you have any, list of potential people that are interested in it? And
No, we've had a couple of inquiries, people that were interested. But yeah, it's kind of resolved as far as, end game.
You said 40 acres, is there any requirement, be necessary to rezone any of it? Or what you plan to do?
No, the entire 40 acres is zoned heavy industrial right now, so it would all fall in.
And therefore, when the crusher comes in, you're not gonna have a problem with
Correct.
noise and
Correct.
dust and all that. So,
Right. Yeah.
Okay, so just to give us an idea, since Fremont closed, you've got the sewing business, the wood rehab business, and your business, how many people are being employed out there right now? So since Fremont left and you guys have purchased it and it's all, those three businesses are gone.
I've got upwards of 55 to 60 myself. I believe Second Chance is 35 or so. And there's 2 or 3 in the sewing shop. The machine shop has another 3, so yeah, we're in 78 range.
And Justin, do you have any idea, future number of jobs, how many?
Well, I gotta tell you, we're very excited about the prospect of Brian building on this property, and I've had this conversation with him many times and look forward to sharing with you. I mean, we have a lack of industrial space in Shiawassee County. And quite honestly, 50 to 100,000 square feet is really the area that we need more of. So this is right in the sweet spot. I would tell you for a building of that size, you could probably get, 100 or 200 people there. And I think the fact you got 40 acres there, I mean, this could be potentially the start of multiple buildings on the property. So it's got to be master planned out right, obviously.
And they're real jobs, not jobs that are just gonna come short term because of construction or whatever. I mean, this is buildings ideas, this is several, 5, 10, 15, 20 years, correct?
Yeah, I mean, that's certainly the goal. I mean, I would tell you, it would probably be, manufacturing, people we've talked with so far are manufacturers, permanent jobs, that could, probably, you could do a build to suit and a lease back or something like that. Because that's what we're finding, a lot of companies don't necessarily want to buy a building or build a building, they like the lease space. But if we don't have the inventory, they go look somewhere else. So I think that's how we would probably set it up going forward. But yeah, there's a lot of demand out there, and I'm very confident we fill this really good employer.
Do you have any, I'm just curious, do you have any idea, when Fremont was at its peak, how many people they were employing out there?
Well, they had a lot. When they were really rolling, I don't know if they ever had as many as 100 folks out there, though. Yeah, I'm not sure. But I mean, it's a great location, obviously. Right there at 71, you're only a mile or 2 from the freeway, so definitely be very attractive, I think, for industry.
And the fees for AKT Peerless presumably come out of that roughly estimated $1 million. Okay, any final questions? Come on.
You're gonna buy the crusher and crush that yourself, or you're gonna contract somebody to come in and do that?
I would buy the crusher myself. Yeah, there's such a volume, the magnitude, that it takes some time to do it.
Takes some time to do it, there's an investment,
Yeah.
probably be a pile, and takes several years to probably sell it all.
Yes.
How does that play in with the profits when all that's sold, because it's being sold?
There's actually not a lot of profit in it, to be honest with you. We had brought a couple people in a couple different times, and they packed away at it a little bit. The problem with the pipe is it's a whole different animal than crushing your typical concrete like driveways and sidewalks. The production rate is about half of what you get out of normal concrete. So by the time your expense is in it, there's not a lot of profit in it. It just needs to be cleaned up. A lot of wire. And the wire is a big part of it too. The wire and the pipe is high tensile wires, as opposed to your typical rebar brakes. It's easy to pop out of the concrete. The high tensile wire it
Yes, we look forward to ongoing updates. Best of luck. Thanks for being with us. So it's been moved and supported. Those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Agenda item number 6, move to consider authorizing and release the lien upon payment in full and mortgage discharge from the rehabilitation improvements in the property located at 623 Fraser Avenue, Owasso, and authorize the board chair to execute all necessary documents. Support. Support. Comments, questions? I just might turn to our clerk, just for clarification, this looks like a standard request that we've seen in the past.
Yes.
Any additional comments or questions? Those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Agenda item number 7, I would move to consider appointing Brandon Kulinek to the Shiawassee County Zoning Board of Appeals for the period of March 16th, 2017 to December 31st, 2020, or until a successor is appointed and authorize the board chair to execute all necessary documents. Been moved and supported. Questions, comments?
Yeah, I think we got a little bit of a mix here. Commissioner Brough is not on this committee. And he's been seconding these motions. It's Commissioner McMaster and Commissioner Marks.
I was just looking at it.
And those two will make the motion. The chair doesn't make the motion, just so I don't have.
So thank you for that clarification.
Yeah.
So support for that? All right. Questions, discussion? I do have one. So the next agenda item also recommends appointment to the ZBA. But I look at the current list, the current roster of ZBA members. I only see one vacancy here. So I think it's clarification.
Yeah, that's last month when he addressed us that Brad was serving in the meantime, but did not want to be reappointed.
So until it's successor appointed. So that's.
He's just been holding on, but now he's ready to do that.
Okay, good. And I've not seen any biography, any resume, any letters of interest, so I'm confident this individual is capable, but can we get something presented to us or have these individuals appear before the committee of the whole on Wednesday to better understand their background? And
Yeah, we can reach out to them and see if they'll attend. I mean, I don't know work schedules, hopefully short notice, but I mean, we can reach out to them. Normally in the past, we've never really had it because we get such little interest, you know? And we did have 4 people that applied for this, but they didn't fall in the zoning area, so 2 immediately were dropped off. So that's why we got 2, that's the only 2 we have, so we don't really have anything else for it, but in the past, they just send a letter that says that I'm interested in surveying. We don't often ask for, I guess, the qualifications and that, I mean, we have in the past.
But you do have correspondence from them.
Yes, yes, we have their letter of interest.
So, in looking at the roster then, it's unclear which areas are represented, or given the bylaws, who needs to be represented.
Well, again, in the bylaws, it's just recommended. It's not enforced, but I guess I don't have that in front of me as to who's representing what, but it's usually, I think with the ZBA, as long as you fall within that zoning enforcement zone, it's pretty good. I don't know that we're as set up as planning when there's agricultural education. I don't know if there is a ZBA, I don't know.
Okay, maybe, Matt, can you give us a little background on the ZBA and who they represent?
Yeah, typically they do represent different aspects in different industries, agricultural, education, manufacturing. Past it's more so been giving forward. We had one probably about for a year, and then before that we had one for years. So trying to get people on this.
So we put out a request and these individuals responded and 2 of the 4 were eligible. Is that what I understand?
Yeah.
And it's my understanding if we can't get people to serve, say, under industrial or agricultural
know if we need to have a majority.
So we try to seek out that broad representation. If we can't get it, we'll do the best we can. Okay. Any remaining questions, discussion? Okay. It's been moved and supported. Those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Just to clarify, then, if we can follow up to see if they would be available to appear before us on this statement. Agenda item number 8, I move to consider appointing Brian Thomas to the Shiawassee County ZBA for the period of March 16, 2017 to December 31st, 2020, or until a successor is appointed, and authorize the board chair to execute all necessary documents. Been moved and supported. Any discussion? Yes, I would request the same then, that individual, he's available on Wednesday, so we would welcome that. Okay, moved, supported. Those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right. On to agenda item number 9, report from the Community Development Office. I believe we have Matt Bradford here today for Chief Preston.
So this past month, we've had a total of 6 zoning permits and 6 building permits. And we had 44 enforcement issues.
Okay, anything out of the ordinary, Matt, you'd like to point out to the commissioners? Is that sort of an average volume?
It's a little slower than the
Okay, I've got a question about the around CBA, 2 previous agenda items. There was a meeting, I understand, last week.
Yes.
And ProLine has a current SUP pending for the county. And they contacted the office at 4 o'clock on the day of the meeting and asked that their item be withdrawn. Right. Could you tell me a little bit about that and what the precedent is for an applicant withdrawing that late on the day of a scheduled meeting?
We'll be working the work schedule for that. We usually don't get people withdrawn the day of the meeting. They had requested to be withdrawn due to lack of a full board.
So because there was one vacancy on the zoning board of appeals, they requested that their application be withdrawn on the day that the meeting was scheduled.
Right, and they requested to be placed on at a later time. We have not determined if they're going to be on the April meeting or they have thrown around pretty much for a special meeting. Well, we haven't heard from that since last week.
So it'll have to be special noticed again when that reappears on the agenda.
We'll have to go through Open Meetings Act, noticing the residents and
So it sounds like there's no precedent that you're aware of for the county doing that. I mean, I guess I'm just wondering, it's nothing more than we afforded that applicant a courtesy.
And sometimes we very rarely have applicants not show up and we don't know what's happening. Other than that,
And what facility is this for? This is what was going to go into the hall?
Yes.
And is now going to the city of Shiawassee, correct?
No, there's a current mine pit there at the facility, and they've applied for a special use permit to ship to a manufacturing facility. It's been recommended for denial by the township.
Right.
It was recommended for denial by the county planning commission, and they appealed before the ZBA.
I think it's going to the city council, but my understanding is it's going next to the cargo plant, or there's probably going into Wasso, into the city. I don't know if that has to do with the.
I wouldn't be aware of that. We don't use it.
But the big top is it's on limits to the cargo plant, those shouldn't be factories.
Sorry, they still have fuel.
Thank you, Chair. Since we have Mr. Horvath here, do you have any knowledge of that?
Not a lot, so my understanding is exactly what Matt said, that they pulled their appeal and they will request that they have an hour later date. I think the last expressed interest in it. The mayor had attended some meetings in support of it. But as far as I know, there's no effort to put it at Wasso at this time. They're still looking to continue to process it.
again, given that is my district, I've received numerous contacts by my constituents and the concern about this. And so I just want to make it clear, it was purely the county, as a courtesy to the applicant, to withdraw that request and reschedule it, and that will require the county spending additional resources to accommodate that applicant in the future. Also, Shiawassee County is one of the few counties in the state that allows an SUP to be appealed for the ZBA. It wasn't a zoning denial, it was an SUP denial. I spoke with Pete Preston about this, and I know we're talking about updating the county zoning ordinance. That's an artifact, I think, of days gone by. And so I think I'd like to try and alleviate that and update the county zoning ordinance accordingly. And I guess in the future, I would, question the necessity that late on the day of the scheduled meeting after proper posting, that the county, since they had a quorum planning on being there and seated to adjudicate that request, that we would afford that kind of courtesy. I think it's a waste of county resource to do so. Any additional comments or questions? Okay, thank you, Mr. Lamprey. Agenda item number 10, I move to consider appointing the following members to the remonumentation peer review group for the period 1 year, beginning January 1st, 2017, through December 31st, 2017, and authorize the board chair to execute all necessary documents. And those members are listed: Norman C. Caldwell, David Kenny, Art Powell, John Klein, John Rouser, and Mark Van Ronda. Comments, questions, discussion? Okay, those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Agenda item number 11, I move to consider approving the professional services agreement and remonumentation contract between Shiawassee County and Landmark Surveying, PC, for a total cost of $16,500, and authorize the board chair to execute all necessary documents. Been moved and supported. Any discussion? Okay, I see the next two agenda items also address this topic. Can you, a little clarification? I understand what remonumentation is. We just share it between 3 engineering firms. Is that how it works? Okay. All right, thank you. Been moved and supported. Those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Carries. Agenda item number 12, I move to consider approving the professional services agreement and remonumentation contract between Shiawassee County and Powell Land Surveying, PC, for a total cost of $16,500, and authorize the board chair to execute all necessary documents. Been moved and supported. Any discussion? Those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Agenda item number 13, move to consider approving the professional services agreement and remonumentation contract between Shiawassee County and Road Professional Services Company for a total cost of $16,500, and authorize the board chair to execute all necessary documents. Been moved and supported. Any discussion? Those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Agenda item number 14. Move to consider setting a public hearing for the Parks and Recreation Commission on March 29th, 2017 at 5:05 p.m. Been moved and supported. I talked with Commissioner Root earlier. Some clarification on that?
Parks and Recreation Commission is applying for a grant for the Henderson Park and Match grant. The only thing we're missing from the process is the public hearing portion. I mean, we've had, you don't need a public hearing, you do need, everything I've read, there has to be an advertisement in the paper, and there has to be a chance to allow the public to comment on it. My understanding is that's a public hearing, because we don't normally let the public comment on agenda items or business, so I just wanted to err on the side of caution and make sure that we set the public hearing. Will be set on the 29th if we approve it, which will require the board to meet at a special time. The whole board of commissioners. just to approve this because they need it approved by April 1st, is when their grant language has to be in. My understanding is the grant's done, been written, they're just waiting on this final to go through and get the process going. So we won't hear anything back on it until October, but it'll be paid for out of funds from the waste management dollars. We'll go to upgrading Henderson Park. So for now, we're just starting that public hearing, looking for commissioners to be available March 29th at 5 o'clock. That way we can have this meeting. It shouldn't take us long. Public can come in and comment. People from Parks and Rec can come in and give us an update for public hearing. We close that, we vote on it. But just to be cautious, I wanted to make sure we did it correctly. You know, there's no problem having a public hearing. There's a problem if we don't have one. So just be cautious.
Okay. Discussions, the commissioners, believe they'd be available to attend that meeting.
We just have to end up with a form.
I mentioned, unfortunately, I'm unavailable to attend, so no, I can't be there. Okay. Looks like we'll have your forum.
I don't know, I haven't checked my calendar. Maybe out of the country.
Probably will be.
But during my stuff, we still have a forum. It's been moved, supported. Those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Any other agenda items that members would like to turn before the committee?
Receive correspondence from
Yes, I did. In fact, I met with Mr. Shepherd last week and did follow up on that. And we talked about some of the concerns it has to do with VA administration. And I committed to doing some additional follow-up on that subject and have not done that yet. So I will inform the committee once I have additional information. Any other items? Okay. That brings us to our second call to the public. Any public comments? Do we have any cards submitted since we started today? Would anybody like to address the committee?
I haven't submitted a card yet, but the only question I have is what percentage of the taxpayers' money will go into the brownfield plan for this project? Is there, that's the only here.
I couldn't tell you what percentage, but it's, again, the taxes on the increase in taxable value of the property that are going to be paid. So all the current taxes that the county's getting, that the city's getting, that the state's getting right now will continue to be paid out during the life of this brownfield plan. It's just an increase in property taxes that will be captured by the brownfield authority in those two prepaid.
So what you would be asking the taxpayers is to increase the millage.
Mr. Shepherd, if you would address the chair, and then I'll follow up.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they'd be asking the taxpayers for an increase in millage to take care of privately owned property.
It's not the way I understand it, Tiff. It would be due to the increased value following its cleanup. So they take the difference between its current valuation and the increase, and they use that incremental portion to finance ostensibly the cleanup. Once that bill is paid, then that increase in value, the assessed value, and increased, taxes that come to the county. So it's for a defined period of time and an amount. So if that answers your question.
Well, if you can get more information from them as to how much the taxpayers can be expected.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any additional public comments? Okay. I think we're on.
Take 5 minute recess and we'll wait for finance.
Like Mark, make the motion.
I don't know. I know.
bringing out worth mentioning.
Answer me that. Yeah. Right.
But then somebody has to make
Yes. Yep.
And then he can come back and support it.
Yeah, I know. And they've got both members here, don't they?
Yeah, but it's worth mentioning.
Yes.
That,
I'll say something to him.
Because he was
Right. Yeah, exactly. No, but it's, you know, I know you do.
more melting down.
Exactly. I don't know. Things are getting weird.
Yeah.
You have to obey them too.
And it's a bad habit.
Yes.
Somebody else will be.
Nope, I don't. No. It's bad enough.
Be polite.
Yep.
Do I have to keep it?
No, no.
Very good. I already know.
Sometimes it's hard to hear.
I know.
The audience or everybody? Don't speak up to the freaking speakers every time if you don't see the little red light. Tell them. Get them.
They're going out of their way to bust your chops, turning around and tell them to play by the rules.
Come on. You're a wife. I know you got one of those mean streaks in you.
Get it up there. Sometimes it's the weather.
Yeah. Last 2 days, my eyes have been burning and itching. I've got stuff in my eyes all the time.
Have you noticed there's like a haze of green over a lot of the trees already? They were starting to bud, and I think it's tree pollen. I noticed it, I think it was Friday when I was going home. It was real sunny, and I could see the bare tree branches and some woodlots by where we live, and there were just a haze of green. You know, those 60-degree temperatures and stuff. I don't know. It's better now. Now when nobody's talking, everybody's gabbing. Yeah. They are. I turned everything on before we started. No, that's one thing. I mean, they've been working well. Five minutes is up.
I still think you need to draw a little back on the back. Make sure it's stay with everybody. Nobody's supposed to have a higher education than I'll be able to read and stay within the record.
You'd think.
I can't say that about
I agree. I was kind of shocked on several fronts.
Why are they here?
All right, just got to call finance order.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
It's new. Have to bring it back. This deals with violations of Title 42 U.S. Code, Section 1985, preventing officers from performing duties. If two or more persons in any state or territory aspire to prevent, by force, intimidation, or threat, any person from accepting or holding any office, trust, or place of confidence under the United States, or from discharging any duties thereof, or to induce by any like means any officer of the United States, or state, district, or any other place within government, whose duties as an officer are required to be performed, or to injure him or her, or his person or her person, the property of the account of his lawful discharge of the duties of his office, or while engaged in the lawful discharge thereof, or to injure the property, to molest, interrupt, hinder, or impede him in the discharge of his official duties. It goes on a lot more legal mumbo jumbo, but if any person is hindered in any way or threatened or intimidated of doing their job, it's their right and responsibility to make their violation charge with U.S. Code office. If it also talks about anybody knowing of another individual intimidating, threatening, or whatever, then they can also make their violation charge. Just to let you know. If you got any other questions, you can do work. Use the as I will.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Everybody else? All right, let's move on. In that case, to agenda item number 4, I'll accept the motion to consider authorizing resolution number 17-03-06 to adopt the MERS hybrid plan for the Police Officers Labor Council Corrections Unit effective March 1st, 2017, and authorize the board chair to execute all necessary documents.
So moved.
We have a second. I will second. That was any discussion.
Sorry, who's on this committee, Mr. Chairman?
Commissioner Brock, Commissioner Casarelli. Second. Any discussion on that? MERS is here today. They will be here on Wednesday and we will answer any questions that we have. Yeah, I think they'll be here Wednesday and they'll help us with 4, 5, and 6, just kind of clearing some issues out. Yes, sir, this stuff.
Mr. Chairman, have you been working on, or is this stuff that, our ex-chairman, Ali,
This is kind of, yeah, this is kind of old stuff that it sounds like maybe didn't get done this year.
So that's what it's looking like to me.
Yeah. Patty's been dealing with it more than anyone, and headache and confusion, so.
Chairman, now we did go to all these meetings and trying to pull it all together. I really don't remember.
I think it was in, well, we didn't vote on it, it just, it seems like there was a breakdown in actually the people.
And that's some of the problem I had with the Shiawassee.
All right, let's vote. All in favor? Agenda item number 4. Motion by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. I will entertain a motion to consider authorizing the MERS valuation request for benefit change for the Police Officers Labor Council Corrections Unit in conjunction with the adoption of the MERS hybrid plan at a cost of $400 and authorize the board chair to execute necessary documents.
I'll support it.
Okay, you got some motion support, so.
I suppose what brings it to benefit change, there's some costs associated with that. It's just around the air or something on the plan, maybe $400, is that?
No, the POLC union authorized a change in plan, and in order to carry out that plan, they have to, it's a change from one level of benefit to another. And in order to carry that out, they have to perform a valuation to determine the level of contribution that'll be required in the old plan that is shut down and the new plan that is being opened up.
Okay.
And it's an actuarial fee, basically.
Okay.
All in favor, moving this forward, signify by saying aye. Motion carries. Agenda item number 6, I'll accept entertain a motion to consider authorizing the MERS administrative services agreement regarding the treatment pension benefits for county employees transferring into jobs with bridge benefits, and authorize the board chair to execute all necessary documents. I'll second. Any discussion on this one?
Yeah, again, I would just benefit with some additional background clarification on what it is.
We'll have Wednesday.
Same thing?
We'll get you more on Wednesday. They were supposed to be in today and they couldn't make it.
Thank you.
All right, any other discussion?
What, we had to go into arbitration. Ex-chairman always went into arbitration. This is, a lot of this is union related stuff that was setting all these people's retirements to fit in with everybody else in the county. So it was a negotiated contract. There's a lot to it. Unless Chairman knows, I can't even specify, but when Mears comes here, they'll be able to explain it to us. But it had to do with the retirement, contract negotiations, I think it was 321 arbitration, because they had come to us wanting more money, we couldn't give it to them at the time. And we worked on just setting their retirement a little bit different.
passing off what they have in the old one and moving from here on out, it's this new C1 program that, you know, Chairman Ali was putting around the county most of their collective bargaining units. So we got this one in, they got it signed, but I don't know where things kind of fell off.
And this is the last one in the county that has to be ratified and taken care of, and everybody will be basically, I'd say, on the same page for it.
I don't know if we need to communicate back to MERS folks that we have several questions.
Oh, yeah, that's why they put it under your.
What exactly is the consequence of this?
Well, we don't want it to fail. We don't want it to fail.
I think it's already been passed.
It has been. Yeah.
I'm just asking when you guys speak, could you have your hands away from your mouth and speak a little louder, because it's really hard to kind of go back, and I've had people complain to me they can't hear you. I'm sorry. And it's hard to hear when you have to go back and listen.
All right, consensus is, we'll have to see what MERS says, and we'll see if there's any other questions in case of any other further discussion. All right, let's put it to vote. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Item number 7, entertain a motion to consider authorizing a contract with NetSource One to provide web application development services to the county for a one-time cost of $850, an annual website hosting fees of $300 per year, and authorize the board chair to execute all necessary documents. Any discussion on this?
I have some questions on okay, so I understand hosting fees for $300 per year. What's the $82.50 for?
It's for redesign and rebuilding of the county website, which is not functioning well at all at this point.
Okay. And then so like for how many years are we locked into $300 per year?
It's pretty much indefinite. There you go.
The 300 would be an annual renewal, and we would just go on with that, you know.
Like 10 years from now, it could still be $300.
It could still be 300, but it could go up, and after looking at 3 different content providers, this cost, and if it did go up, it would still be lower than any of the other ones out there. Some of them, one that I looked at was like the Cadillac, about Cadillacs. When they started out, their initial migration cost is $44,000. The annual hosting is $5,400. So then, they had a lot of bells and whistles. It was really cool, but we don't need that. Revise is another site that we looked at. Their cost of migration was $13,000, $1,200 annual cost to host that. So with this one here for that source one, they was pretty much going there and designing a template for us. What I like about them is, in order for us to be ADA compliant, and civil rights is really cutting down, getting us for that. We need to have a template that's consistent throughout the whole website. And some of these other ones, like with Revise, they did not have a consistent template. So then when we went to look at another site and home site, when the rep had navigated me there, he said, oh wow, they're not following best practices. Okay, that's a flag. We need something that's going to enforce best practices so that the civil rights doesn't come down on us. So really, we're looking at something that's ease of use, that simplifies the editing and the management of a web page. We want to be able to allow other departments the ability to create their web pages and manage them. We're looking at something that's going to give users with phone logins the ability to log into the website so that we can post forms out there that are not accessible to the public. So like for the My Season Portal, if we put that form out there, then we have the outline police departments that will be able to log in and submit that form to the website without having to, which is a double authentication, which, you know, complies with My Season.
And the purpose of this is to share information then, or?
Basically, yes.
Is that subject to plugin then?
It could be. It could be. But right now, basically, we're looking at a website host provider. Right now, you have your Shiawassee.net when you go. When you go in there to try to edit those web pages, it's exposed. It's very difficult to move around. So, you know, with some of these websites that are posting these forms, that's an option. It's not something that we need to do, but it is definitely an option. Right now, we want to be able to allow other departments to go out there and modify their web pages just to get information out there and to be ADA compliant. Right now, we have probably about 433 Adobe PDF files that are not Adobe or ADA compliant, which means that we're going to have to go back and recreate them all.
So is it like people with special equipment, where there's a vision, is that what it is? So
It is. It is.
so it all holds up the same?
It's so that somebody who is visually impaired or mobility impaired, if they have the ability to go out there, put a reader on their computer so they can go through and read the website. You know, we need something that's going to enforce that we have an alternate text when we post a picture out there. So when they come up against a picture, they know what it is. So again, civil rights is really coming down hard.
Thank you. I would just say that's a good price. For what stuff I pay for hosting the web assignments, very competitive price.
Yeah, I'll make the website will be overall more friendly, user friendly, depending on how the commissioners would like to sit with our assistant and see what she has to go through when she's putting all these up on the website. It'd be eye-opening to see. This will make it a little more user-friendly. Right now, with the interactive page that we want to put out for wind energy, you know, we can't do that right now. We don't have capabilities to do that. So this will make it a little easier. You know, every department will have their own ability, but we still will have, you know, I think here at the Board of Commissioners also still be the one that puts the final say to see what goes up. We're not just going to have anything out there, but something we should have moved for, I think, even last 2 years we were looking at doing, kind of got around to it, so finishing up. And it is a good price. I believe it's cheaper than right now, isn't it? Than what we have right now?
Yeah.
It's a fair price.
All right, anything else on this item? All right, in the case, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Agenda item number 8, I will entertain a motion to consider authorizing the front of the court in collaboration with the sheriff's office to hire a full-time deputy to be assigned to the front of the court office to assist with child support enforcement. The front of the court has access to the state cooperative reimbursement program grant funding that will pay 66% of the cost, with grant funding being sought to cover the remainder and authorize the board chair to execute all necessary documents. Motion. Any discussion on this item? We do have our front of the court director and sheriff here. Give a bit of a rundown here for us. I'll give us an idea of what they're coming up with.
Sure. I'd just like to first want to give you a background of what brought this all about. I was noticing a considerable amount of time that our road patrol deputies were being sent on more pickups. On a good day, I'd like to start off a shift with 3 or 4 deputies, and oftentimes other counties in the state will arrest somebody on one of our front of the court warrants. And when they confirm through lien that it is a valid warrant, we have to make a decision at that point in time whether to pick up that person on the warrant. If it's more than 2 counties away, I have to take 2 deputies off the road to send them on those transports. And of course, if you're only running 3, then I'm down to 1 at a time. If it's 2, there's 2. But in addition to the road patrol suffering, there was considerable amount of gas and wear and tear on our cars. So I went to Judge Stewart seeking some reimbursement for the considerable cost of the sheriff's department was enduring with these expenses. My hopes was to get some reimbursement from the state for that money, and that opened up some communication with the FOC director, and we discovered that she actually has to have about 80% compliance with her front of the court warrant enforcement, and right now she's at about, I believe, 70 or 71%. It really doesn't have the means to increase that enforcement, and money that she is able to collect is kind of hinged on that enforcement. So she suggested that possibly I assign a deputy to the front of the court for this enforcement. And I wasn't in favor of that as well because I could keep the deputies on the road. It would, of course, we'd enforce the warrants through the front of the court. And there was a there was not only the potential to say the deputies that were going out of state for the warrant pickups, but we try to pick up on local ones as well. She has about 5,300 open cases right now that need help with child support enforcement. So that deputy would be assigned to help with that portion of those over 5,000 cases. Just to give you an example, in the month of February, we had about 15 warrant pickups. So 15 different times we have to send a car out of county to pick up on those warrants.
If you don't mind interruption, how many of those 5,000 are believed to be residing in this county? I mean, I see, sometimes you don't know because people are transient, but of the 5,000 that are open that need enforcement, how many do you think actually live here?
Of the 5,300 cases that we have roughly, there are some cases that we are considered interstate. For the most part, the cases that we all have here for Shiawassee County means that the payers of support live in Shiawassee County. So we might have a recipient of support living in a different state, but typically we're enforcing those cases. Some of our cases do go and we do request enforcement or registration in other states if the payer does relocate out of state. We still will keep the case for enforcement purposes, but for the most part of the 5,300 cases, I would say a fair majority of those, I can't give you a specific number, but I would say at least 90%, 95% of those cases are payers that should have resided in Shiawassee County at one point or another. They may reside in another community near.
So very likely they could be in a neighboring county.
Correct. Yes, that's very much a possibility. The court will say prevent us from transferring a case to another county if it's contiguous. So if the payer of support lives in another contiguous county, we can't transfer that case. The payee could request a transfer as well if they reside in a contiguous county, but it's likely to be denied. Because the counties we don't want to keep transferring cases among counties if they live just in a neighboring county. But as Chair has indicated, the Friends of Court, we receive 66% of our funding for all expenses under the CRP contract. So any services that Sheriff would be able to provide with the deputy would be reimbursed 66%. So when you're looking at the big picture, we might, for 2017, for the remainder of 2017, it does look like maybe a shocking number when you see the 65,000. But really what that means is that the state, based on our funding, will pick up about $42,000 of that expense, and Friends of the Court would absorb the roughly $23,000 out of the general fund. So it isn't nearly as expensive, so to speak, as some may think to employ a full-time position or the deputy at the Friends of the Court. For 2017, I think you all should have received the proposal that we had in the memo. We're looking at, I have a 215 fund that does generates revenue through judgment fees and medical support incentive money. And so we would be looking to absorb the cost for 2017 and looking for the board to grant us funding starting in 2018. And again, the cost for 2018 is close to just under $100,000. Again, the funding and the way that the office is structured, we would pick up about 66% of that, roughly $65,000. So we would be looking for about $32,000 to $35,000 to increase the general fund, and that's for a full-time deputy with the lease of the vehicle, their uniforms, the bulletproof vest, the radio, gasoline. So that includes the complete entire package. And as Sheriff indicated, not only does it help from his standpoint, but from the Friends of the Court standpoint, we're measured on 5 different performance measures. The prosecuting attorney's office handles the first 2 performance measures, and the Friends of the Court handles the last 3, measures 3, 4, and 5. Right now, to get our full funding, we need to be at 80%. Historically, we've never gotten that number. I'd like to see, or I'm optimistic and hopeful that with the assistance of a full-time deputy, that we can really increase those collections and the enforcement, which will bring those numbers up. We are in the mid-70s. I'm hopeful and optimistic that with a full-time deputy, that we'll be able to meet those measures to. I'm not sure the exact timeframe on that, but I'm hopeful that, as you've seen in the report, the impact that bench warrants, picking people up on bench warrants have. People don't want to spend time in their jail, so they pay a lot of the times to get released, or 50%, at least 50% of the time, typically people are paying to get released on the warrant. So it definitely generates revenue, but there's other reasons too to have a full-time deputy. We would be able to have more innovative ways to possibly handle enforcement. We can boot cars. We just don't have the deputy or the resources available as far as having a physical deputy go out and boot cars. Sheriff's office is already busy enough. I can't ask him to go out and try to boot cars, but with a full-time deputy, we could possibly explore that. We'd also be able to possibly have the deputy actually collect child support payments for us while on the road. He or she could go to various employers and say, listen, you're going to come with me if I'm not seeing any warrant, you have some money on you, and maybe potentially do maybe a cash deal right there at someone's place of employment versus, trying to avoid being arrested. So there's a lot of different things that we could explore by having a full-time deputy. Deputy also could help streamline enforcement processes and procedures within the front of the court, looking at even helping our enforcement team, look for even more cases for show cause hearings on. Right now, we do have 3 individuals that are scheduling show cause hearings. We've gone through a reorganization, so we've tripled that. But we need help with running reports and finding cases. So the deputy would be able to, if they're not working the warrants, so to speak, or out on the streets, trying to do enforcement hearings, and certainly can help us run reports so that we can schedule those hearings and eventually get them through the enforcement process.
Is there incentive then? Like, let's say the sheriff has his deputy. Can Gratiot County or can Clinton County give you a list of people that they have warrants out for that are suspected to live, or they think live, or they know live in this county? That would your deputy go out and enforce those warrants? Do you guys gain anything financially by arresting somebody on a warrant they just shipped to another county?
It could be done, just like when our county, when a warrant is issued, it's valid statewide, and we go anywhere in the state to pick it up. So, if a warrant for Gratiot County was issued and somebody's living in this county as a cooperative effort, yes, we could make an attempt to make an arrest for them.
Do we financially benefit from that at all?
No, other than if they did the same thing for us, if there was somebody up and we had been up there maybe several times trying to apprehend them and wasn't even open. So if they're a little closer, maybe, correspond with us.
Are there any neighboring counties that have a similar program that we could develop that relationship with?
I'm not aware of the counties that have a deputy. I know Johnson County, most of your larger counties have a deputy on staff. I'm not sure about Clinton offhand, but I can certainly look into that before Wednesday and see what neighboring counties have. Saginaw has, they have 2 deputies on staff. But the other thing, if we do have a cooperative effort here from other counties, the better that not only Shiawassee County does, it improves the state, which then improves it on the federal level. So the feds are looking at how much money they're going to give Michigan as a whole. So the better that we do locally, and then from a state perspective, increases our overall federal funding. So helping each other and helping other counties certainly will help the overall funding just for the state of Michigan. Let alone potentially spilling over into Shiawassee County or having them, as Sheriff indicated, pick up some of them for us if we're having difficulties with.
Thank you, very helpful explanation. That's just a little different than the agenda item, which talked about, the remaining 33% to be covered with grant funding as well. That's for the current year, but what I hear is in 2018 going forward, you'd actually be looking to the county to support that 33% of general funds or whatever the case may be. Is that right?
Right, that's correct. Yeah. Unless there was some grants available. And I think Patty was going to check to see if there was anything available for 2018.
Okay, and presumably you had a conversation with Judge Stewart and he would support this request?
I personally spoke with Judge Stewart and Judge Patterson, and they are absolutely 100% in support of this. Unfortunately, Judge Patterson on vacation this week and said he couldn't make it here today. Judge Stewart was unavailable, he had other commitments. Judge Dignan, I did talk to him when the proposal was first sent to him, and he was in support of it, but I didn't want to say 100% because I didn't have a follow-up conversation with him. But at the time I had discussed it with him initially, he was absolutely in support
budgeting process, but the court has some discretion over how their budget is used annually. And I wonder if they support it to the point where they might look at within their own budget to help offset these costs. We're sharing that 33%.
We're hoping that, through 2017, if the board approves this 2017, we can look at different grant funding, possibly look even to family court. I know Judge Dignan recently has been show causing payers that haven't paid on, I believe, juvenile fines and costs, things like that. So perhaps we can turn to family court to see if they might be interested in kicking in some money to pay to have a deputy work those warrants, so to speak. I also do have monies that revenue that continually comes into the 215 fund. So there could be revenue or money that I could help contribute even 2018 going forward. I just didn't necessarily want to commit to any specific amount because those monies are so speculative. If money could always gone into that account, but I didn't want to necessarily commit to a certain dollar amount. So certainly for 2018 going forward, we do have a lot of options. It's just a matter of having discussions with some other players potentially.
I mean, it seemed like a very smart approach to addressing an existing challenge. I'm generally supportive of the concept of what's being presented as a commission. We have a lot of budget requests, so we just have to manage a lot of competing priorities. Was Terry going to offer anything else in regards to the budget or applications?
No, I think Christie has pretty much said what we've been talking about this for some time now to try to put it together. And we're hoping that she'll have her Fund 215 monies in 2018 if we can't get anywhere else. But with the level of enforcement that needs to be done through the probate and family courts as well, that is also not current. I think if there's any way to find any state level funds to cover this, we'll be able to do that through them. It's just a matter of getting into their grant application sequence.
To be clear, so this individual will be assigned 100% to a friend of the court to do that work. In other words, it's not like they need an officer 80% of the time and the other 20% would help you.
That's right, sure. 100% would be through the family.
But it's a sworn and deputized person, correct?
Yes, there's a memorandum of understanding that they would be under the direction of me, but the sheriff would select the individual and would be completely under the contract.
No, I like your desk for office on.
Yes, we have a desk available, ready to go, computer.
Like a uniform on, I'm assuming.
Uniform. Well, the uniform deputy in an unmarked car to increase the likelihood.
And firearm, everything.
And it would assist the court too with transport. I know there's times polycom is used or polycom is down. So we would have another deputy within the courthouse that could certainly transport people to and from the jail. And just to help with security too, additional security, not only within the front of the court, but certainly within the courthouse.
This deputy also would be, up and out making these warrants attempts, even from the courthouse or out on the road. So that's the other advantage. I mean, if something did happen, we would have an extra deputy out there that potentially could respond to any type of emergency situation.
And then we'll get some, sorry about the details here, but whose car is it? The sheriff's credit card?
It's one of the cars that I had spoken to you about, that the former sheriff that entered into the leases, that wasn't able to break the lease after numerous attempts. They wanted 7,000 in one case, 9,000 to break it, so I assigned the car to the road patrol for undercover activities, such as taxing and driving operations, speed enforcement, things like that. So I would utilize this car for that operation.
All right, is there any further discussion? All right, let's go to this. All in favor of agenda item number 8, signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. Appreciate it. Agenda item number 9, I'll entertain a motion to consider authorizing the county clerk's office to hire one deputy circuit court clerk to refill the vacancy at pay grade 3 on the line salary schedule with a range of $24,774 to $30,309, and authorize the board chair to execute all necessary documents.
Make that motion.
Motion. Second. Second. Any discussion on this? This is just the refilling of the position. case, let's go to vote. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Agenda item number 10. I'll entertain a motion to consider authorizing the acceptance of the grant between the state of Michigan and the Shiawassee County Clerk's Office to purchase new voting system, which includes precinct tabulators, absent voter, county board tabulators, accessible voting devices, and related election management system software in the amount of $240,128, and authorize the clerk to execute all necessary documents. Do you have a motion? Let's make that motion. Let's discuss this. Is there anything from?
I think just for clarification, given the cost, is it safe to assume that that full cost of the equipment will be covered by the grant, or will there be any county funds required to?
No county funds required for the first 5 years, and the contracts are on all three vendors that were approved from the state are all on the same playing ground. So everything is 100% of what we would need. But then there's 6 to 10, possibly 6 to 12 years, but those are numbers that are available for us right now because those will be negotiated as we get closer to that time. But the state, this is just basically repelling I can just accept the money so that we can move forward on getting the vendors, the equipment to the jurisdictions.
What is the equipment?
Yes.
And this is mandated, right?
This is mandated, yes.
This is state or federal?
It's federal.
Okay. And I have just one question, and if you don't know it, I can get back. The absent voter counting board tabulators, does this mean from now on for every precinct or every township, there will be a number displayed to the public of how many absentee ballots are cast, what the results are?
I believe so.
That would be very great. Be nice. Excellent.
Any other questions? All in favor? Signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries. Move on to agenda item number 11. I'll consider, I'd like to accept the motion to consider authorizing the 2016 budget amendments numbers 16-17-4, number 16-17-4.5, number 16-17-4.7, numbers 16-17-4.14, and 16-17-4.17.
I make that motion.
Motion, duly supported. Let's open this to discussion. I'm sure we have any questions on this one. Real quick, has you want to brief them down?
In December, I brought the Board of Commissioners a really large list of budget amendments to wrap up year end. But since then, since January 1st through about a week ago, we've had to me, unexpectedly large number of payments to be made on 2016 bills, which we have to adjust back into the prior year in order to close the books. And a number of those exceeded the budget provisions I had made for them and had approved by the Board of Commissioners in December. The largest of these is 3 categories of care in the child care fund, which this year ran over about close to $200,000 over what the budget was. And they were in the areas of residential treatment, detention facilities, and state ward and board fees. None of these we have been very close to the margin in the past several years, but there's been a significant increase of cases with serious situations that required more expensive than usual payment of these fees. So this one I electively wanted to adjust after December 31st, after we'd received all the bills in from the service providers, so I didn't have to try and come back again. So this is all cleanup in order for us to get ready to close the books for 2016 because our auditors are coming next Monday, the 20th.
So each one of these numbers has.
No, the last one. 417 is child care fund. The other ones are in the notice of revised agenda that was sent to you between 8 and 9 this morning, and it details each of them. The other ones are $5,000 or more, and honestly, I've just forgotten what the other 4 were, but it was cleaning up routine matters.
So this, the child care fund, is this leave over and those two things, coming to the office, or the office, or, and you're talking about kids being sent up to Saginaw? Is this
Yes.
That's what this is.
Yeah, he would have talked about their increased caseload and costs when you met with them.
What's that line item varies year to year? You would judge by the board of commissioners if there's any control over it. And it's done, I don't know if it's a good way to say it, but kind of thorn in the side because it costs us a lot of money, but we usually have no choice.
Necessary evil.
Necessary way to take care of the kids. That's right.
And so there's been said that it's still cheaper to outsource that and go to other counties.
Well, just that, so obviously this is additional monies that weren't budgeted for to close 2016 books.
Right.
So presumably other applications for the 2017 budget as a result of that?
We increased the budget request for 2017 so that it's at a level about with this or slightly more than this amount, because we've been trying to predict during most of the year. I work with the family court system, trying to make sure they're adequately funded because it's apparently been an ongoing thing. But yes, the provision for 2017 should not require any adjustment unless we have an additional hike in either the costs for providing these services or the number of patients or children or cases, however you want to refer to it. If there's an additional large spurt of growth like we have had, I may have to come back again.
All in favor of signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries. Are there any other agenda items that we need to discuss before we move on? All right.
Just one additional item. I was talking to Chairman Wood before the meeting. It has to do with county procurement policy. I'm interested in understanding currently the county really has no procurement policy. It's very important, and I thought it'd be a reasonable importance that most commissioners want. And so I committed to doing some work, maybe looking at some other counties and maybe bringing back some language in the future for consideration and discussion on the board for consideration. So I just wanted to make everyone aware of the conversation.
In that case, let's move on to public comment. We have ticket from Mr. Rich Schneider from Durham, Michigan. Mr. Schneider?
Hi. I had a couple of thoughts when you guys were in this last meeting. The one is on the mayor's subject. He said there's a number of questions that are still unanswered. Can we get somebody from mayor's to be here Wednesday for chat?
They're scheduled to come Wednesday.
Sure. Hey, it's been a tender subject for the last few years. This is, I was thinking, is about the county clerk's new voting machine. It's about time. Okay. I know it's expensive in all occasions, but it's also has to be a lot more accurate than us waiting up past 3/4 of the night to find out whether or not we got that one vote that put this over the edge. Okay, so maybe it will speed up. Then we can all get an election soon. Except for the guys that are on the 30 that are going to go off the party. I wonder who's asking. Thank you.
Is there anyone else in the public that would like to comment?
Tuesday. You turn.